Have you ever noticed that English learners often use the word maybe for everything? Someone asks, "Are you free this weekend?" Maybe. Will it rain tomorrow? Maybe. Are you going to watch that new movie? Maybe. Of course, there's nothing wrong with the word maybe, but native English speakers often use many other expressions that sound more natural and help them show exactly how sure they are. Hello, wonderful learners. Welcome to the JISH Learn English Podcast. I'm Shaylin. Today, we're going to learn several simple and natural alternatives to maybe. By the end of this lesson, you'll know how to sound more confident, more natural, and more fluent when you're not completely sure about something. Let's get started. Let's begin with the word perhaps. The word perhaps means exactly the same thing as maybe. We use it when we are not completely sure about something. Listen to these two sentences. Maybe I'll go to the party. Perhaps I'll go to the party. The meaning is the same. Both sentences tell us that the speaker is undecided. The difference is that perhaps sounds a little more thoughtful and slightly more formal. That's why you'll often hear it in professional situations, polite conversations, and even books. Imagine your coworker asks, "Will you be able to finish the report today?" You could answer, "Perhaps. I'm still working on it." It sounds calm, polite, and professional. Now let's look at another useful word, possibly. This word is connected to the adjective possible. If something is possible, it can happen. So when you say possibly, you are really saying, yes, it can happen, but I'm not sure. Imagine your friend asks, "Will you travel this summer?" You haven't made any plans yet, so you answer, possibly. In simple English, possibly means it's possible. Notice that possibly often sounds a little less confident than perhaps. You're saying that something could happen, but you really don't know yet. That's why it's a great word to use when the future is still uncertain. Now let's talk about something that can instantly make your English sound more natural. Many learners say sentences like, "Maybe I will stay home tonight." This sentence is perfectly correct. But in everyday conversation, native English speakers often use a different structure. Instead of putting maybe at the beginning, they use the word might. So instead of saying, "Maybe I will stay home tonight," they say, "I might stay home tonight." The meaning is almost identical. Both sentences mean you are not sure, but "I might stay home tonight" sounds smoother and more natural in conversation. Let's look at a few more examples. Instead of saying, "Maybe she'll call later," you can say, "She might call later." Instead of saying, "Maybe we'll visit our grandparents this weekend," you can say, "We might visit our grandparents this weekend." Notice the pattern: subject plus might plus the base verb. Once you learn this structure, you'll hear it everywhere. It's one of those small changes that can make your spoken English sound much more fluent. You can also use the word may in a similar way. For example, "I may go shopping later." This means there is a possibility that you will go shopping, but you haven't decided yet. May and might are very similar. For everyday conversations, both are usually acceptable, so don't worry too much about choosing between them. Just remember that both help you express uncertainty naturally. Before we continue, here's a quick bonus tip. Many English learners get confused by maybe and may be. They look almost the same, but they're actually different. Listen carefully. Maybe she is busy. Here, maybe is one word and means perhaps. Now listen to this sentence. She may be busy. Here, may be is two words. May shows possibility, and be is part of the verb. The meaning is very similar, but the structure changes. Don't try to memorize complicated grammar rules. Just notice that maybe usually comes at the beginning of a sentence, while may be usually comes after the subject. Now let's move beyond simply saying maybe. Sometimes we want to show how sure we are. Think about uncertainty like a ladder. The higher you climb, the more confident you become. Imagine someone asks, "Will it rain this afternoon?" If you're not very sure, you can say, "There's a fair chance it'll rain." In simple English, a fair chance means there is a reasonable possibility. You're not saying yes and you're not saying no. You think it might happen. For example, maybe there are a few clouds in the sky, but you're still uncertain. So you say, "There's a fair chance it'll rain later." Now imagine the sky becomes darker and the weather forecast predicts rain. You feel more confident. This is when you can say, "There's a good chance it'll rain." Notice the difference. A good chance is stronger than a fair chance. You believe the event will probably happen. For example, "There's a good chance I'll see my cousins this weekend." You haven't made a promise, but you think it will probably happen. What if you're almost certain? This is where we can use the phrase quite likely. The word likely means probably going to happen. So if something is quite likely, you think it has a very strong possibility of happening. Imagine your favorite team has won 10 games in a row and they're playing a much weaker team tonight. You might say, "It's quite likely they'll win again." You're not 100% sure, but you feel very confident. Let's put everything together with one simple situation. Imagine your friend sends you a message and asks, "Do you want to go hiking this Saturday?" If you're completely unsure, you could say, "Perhaps." If you think it's possible but you haven't decided yet, you could say, "Possibly." If you're considering it seriously, you could say, "I might come." If you think you'll probably join, you could say, "There's a good chance I'll be there." And if you've already checked your schedule and almost everything is ready, you could say, "It's quite likely I'll be there." Notice how each answer gives your listener a clearer picture of what you're thinking. So today, we learned that English gives us many ways to express uncertainty. Instead of using only maybe, you can use words like perhaps, possibly, might, and phrases like "there's a good chance" or "it's quite likely." Choosing the right expression helps you sound more natural and more confident in English. Now I have a question for you. What are your plans for next weekend? Try to answer in the comments using one of today's expressions instead of maybe. I'd love to read your answers. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like the video and subscribe to the JISH Learn English Podcast for more practical English lessons. Thank you for learning with me today. I'm Shaylin, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.